Look who's on my phone. He has, for 3 decades, guided the elderly and their families through complex government regulations, continues to help middle-class families and working-class families protect and preserve their hard-earned assets, get government benefits, pay for nursing home care. He's the CEO and founder of the Glendale-based company, Nursing Home Solutions. Zoran Basich, welcome back to the front page.
Good morning. It's good to hear your voice. How are you?
It's good to hear yours as well. I am blessed. How are you?
Fortunate to be here and in some very difficult times.
It is. It's just, I guess we've been through a lot in our lifetimes, but it seems like very unprecedented, very new territory that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, it's unprecedented and it's scary. Scary meaning there are people dying of this disease. It's not to be taken lightly. Apparently, it doesn't hit everybody as hard, but those that are really devastated truly are devastated, and it takes its toll. And apparently, the numbers now are about a 20% mortality rate, which is much higher than anybody thought 2 months ago when we first started dealing with it. So it is something to be taken seriously, to really watch out for and to pay attention and act quickly if you do not feel well. So.
Yeah, which reminds me, Saturday, I do the show now on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We have some doctors on that can answer those kind of questions about how you're feeling. We want to, we're going to be live. But right now we want to focus on, your money, your paperwork, what you need to have together, to survive this situation financially for your family the best way possible. And, a friend said to me the other day he wasn't feeling well, having conversations with the wife and older kids about, where is the paperwork, what to do should I get very sick or pass away. And I thought, oh, my goodness, I don't want to have those conversations, but we have to, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, you're doing the person a favor because they're worried. Clearly, there's something on their mind. And by telling them, oh, don't worry about it, let's not talk about it, feeling bad about it, thinking you're making them feel bad, what you're really doing is making them feel bad because they don't feel like they're coming to some kind of a conclusion and they're not reaching some kind of an end that they would like to have in play. So, yeah, getting the things that are critical, like powers of attorney, wills, trusts, the estate plan, those issues, avoid headaches, avoid problems, make it simpler for everybody to take a deep breath and know where they stand and know how things will fall together in the unfortunate event that something goes very, very wrong.
So really having our paperwork ducks in a row, and power of attorneys seem like they might be extra important. Explain what they are again.
Sure, they're critical. Powers of attorney enable your loved ones to act on your behalf if you're incapacitated. The thing that people confuse is that powers of attorney are only as good as you are alive. So if you have a power of attorney and you give it, if I gave you my power of attorney, let's say, and said to you, Dominique, do this and do that, take care of the things that you need to take care of for me, and I passed away, that power of attorney ceases to exist because it only is good while I am alive. So it's not like a will. It works in a different fashion, but what it does do is it enables you to make healthcare decisions, it enables you to make financial decisions, pay bills, access bank accounts, get through the process of survival every day, and enable me to continue to live and function when I'm at my worst.
Right. So, that's a good point. It's not going to keep going if we die. But if we should be in the hospital or incapacitated in some way, it tells people what we want and how we want it done. And there's two kinds, right? There's the one over our finances and there's the one over our health care.
That's correct. There's the health care power called the durable power of attorney for health care. The other one is the financial power, and it's called the durable power of attorney for finance. And they don't come together. They come separately. And they must be notarized. If you don't notarize them, people will often not listen to them. They won't follow instructions. And especially when it comes to the ones that are financial, in order to have any impact on finances or on land or on real estate, you have to have a power of attorney that is, in fact, notarized. So make sure when you do these documents and you sign them, that they are notarized and they're in place. And make sure, the one thing that I find very odd, people sign these things and then don't tell anybody they have them. They put them in a box, hide them someplace. Like
and it won't help you.
Yeah. And that won't do you any good at all. The fact of the matter is you should really give them to everybody that matters in your family, who's going to have to step up and take care of you and make decisions and if you should get sick.
So, I mean, I'm assuming there's notaries and stuff open during this time that we can actually get this stuff done right now.
Yeah, and if there aren't, or if you can't find someone, if you call our office, we'll arrange for a mobile notary to come down and help you out with that, because it's critical right now to make sure that those are in play and that they're done properly. And since you can't go into the bank often, or you can't get into places that were normally available to us, it may be a little more of a challenge, especially if you're homebound and you can't get around. It's critical to get a mobile notary to get over there and take care of documents.
It is, and I think, that way if you do get sick or something, there is a plan in place. You don't have to panic because there's a plan in place. And that second part of that plan is the part for after we're dead. Sorry to make it sound so cut and dry, but it's a will and a trust.
Correct. And I'm often asked, should I get a will? Should I get a trust? Do I need a trust? When do I need one? First of all, everyone should have a will. And the reason for that is simple. If you don't write a will and if you don't leave a will, people are going to basically argue. There's going to be problems. There's going to be a dysfunctioning family. Whatever problems you already have, you're just going to magnify. If you create a will, at least there's no one to argue with. They know what you wanted and it'll be handled. The problem is a will force you to go through probate. Probate can be expensive. We just had a family, and it was actually a KJLH family that we're dealing with. Mom left 2 pieces of property worth about $1.5 million. She bought them for $20,000 a piece 40, 50 years ago. They've appreciated tremendously and never got around to writing a will, never got around to creating a trust. And the probate fees for that are going to be almost $45,000 because the court sets those fees, not the lawyers that set those fees. And it's going to take about 2 years of work for something that could have been handled with a piece of paper and a signed notarized document and avoided, and that cost would have been avoided. So again, I can't push the topic enough to say that you should have these in place. And so the second part of that question that I was asking is, well, when do you need a trust? If you have a will, why get a trust? Well, the trust will avoid probate. You won't have to go through all that. You won't have to wait a couple of years. You won't have to spend $35,000 going through probate on $1.5 million estate. A trust keeps everything private. You get to keep it between the family and not amongst the public. And the trust does it automatically and quickly. And you can have the estate moved from one part of the family to the survivors for 6, 8, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, not very long at all. And the cost is minimal. So, again, if you own real estate, if you own property, if you own some kind of commercial business, you really should have a trust because it's going to impact what it costs you. People are going to get things done quicker, and you're going to have the opportunity to keep it private, and privacy is important.
All right, folks are already on the phone, and you can call us too, 520-KJLH, 520-5554. We're going to go to Brenda calling us from Corona. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning, Dominique. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, this is my second time calling you. I am so blessed that you're having this attorney on. I've been waiting for a long time. This is my scenario. My daughters are each other's beneficiary, and we're planning to travel together. And my question is, should the unfortunate happen while we are traveling? And we're thinking about designating a family member to entrust our property to. I know the attorney does a wide range of services, and he may have already answered the question. I just want to get some clarity to it. What form or what is the procedure of designating a family member to our property?
Well, if you have an estate plan, Brenda, already in place, and your daughters are each other's beneficiaries, the odds of the three of you dying in an airplane crash, a car crash, in the old days, people used to think about that all the time and worry about it. You have a greater chance of meeting Elvis Presley. And clearly, that's not going to happen because he's not around anymore. So it just is not, the risk is not real. I wouldn't change your plan. I would leave it intact and leave it alone, because you're adding people in that are not as close as your two daughters are. You're giving them powers over things that you own. If something happens, it could cause more problems. Certainly, probably would cause more problems than anything else. And I would tell you that you don't need to do that, and I wouldn't worry about it. It's not that big a problem. Because if you both, all three of you passed away while you were driving or you were in a flight or something, the courts presume that you actually each survived the other, and it still takes it to where you wanted it to go, regardless of the fact that you all passed in the same car or in the same plane. But I've been in practice for many, many, many years. I have lived on this planet. I've not seen this before, where we are today with this virus. But I will tell you, the odds of having you have that problem that you're worried about are almost non-existent.
But that would, hold on 1 sec. I'll let you get a follow up, but I want to, Brenda, I want to interject. This is something that would be covered if anything fatal happened by a trust, right? I mean, they'd have everything laid out about what went where in their trust.
Right. So if they've got it in place, I wouldn't change beneficiaries just for that temporary trip that they're taking or whatever they're doing, because you're adding something to the mix that is something that could become a problem later on.
Okay, Brenda, what was your follow-up?
So my question is, since we're a small family, and if I want to add them to the trust, is that what you do initially? I'm confused.
So you're saying you want to add people to the trust before you travel, or just in general?
Before I travel, yeah.
Okay, so she's talking about you, but you already have a living trust in place.
We don't have one. We're in the process of getting one. So
it's not a problem if you're doing a trust, Brenda. If you're creating a trust now and you want to add others in for different issues or different reasons, you're certainly welcome to do that. The trust will enable you to do whatever you want. The lawyer that's doing this for you should have no problem doing that. It's just, I was under the impression you already had a trust and you were thinking about changing something because you were concerned about something happening to you and your two daughters while you were traveling. And if that was the case, I was telling you that it wasn't necessary. But no, while they're sitting there drafting that trust, they can draft into it whatever you want. They can add in any variable or any provision you want, and they can put a limitation to it if you want to limit it.
All right, Brenda, thank you for your call. Appreciate that. I'm glad you're in motion on getting things done that you would like to have done. Let's go for Keith from Watts. Good morning, Keith. You're on with Attorney Zoran Basich.
Yes, good morning, front page. Dominique, how you doing?
Blessed. Thanks for calling.
My question is this today. Yesterday, the people who filed income taxes at Gateway in Watts on 103rd, right? They went to Caller RS or looked up the website for the stimulus money. So if you didn't do direct deposit with Gateway and you asked for a personal check over the counter, Dominique, that Gateway have a personal account. So your stimulus money went into their personal account, which they supposed to hand you a check like they did your income tax money from the stimulus money. They telling you that their bank is saying that they will not process your check. They have your money, and they will not send it to Gateway private office, city offices, and your money.
Gateway is a bank.
return back to the IRS. And
Keith.
people don't have a way to track the money down. All call the bank because all the
Keith.
lines is overpopulated and closed. So how do they
Keith.
find their money?
Keith,
Yes.
Gateway is a bank.
No, Gateway is a income tax service.
So you're saying that this income tax service got your check because they are the beneficiary. They're the direct deposit person on the IRS's file, and they're not giving people their money. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they're telling you that their bank that they use to do the direct deposits to write you out their personal check out of, saying that they kept the money and they're trying to figure out if they're going to send it back to the IRS.
Okay,
But they're holding people money because they said they don't want to do. They're
Got
not,
it.
not charging people
Got
for
it.
paperwork
Keith,
processing fee.
Keith, got it. Also, we can hear you, so you can just talk in a normal volume. The phones are really strong, so it sounds like a scam to me. But Zoran, what would you have Keith tell people to do?
Well, unfortunately, they don't have a game plan yet. In other words, this was put together so quickly that Bank of America, a well-known bank, won't even process some of your paperwork unless you have a Bank of America account. So different banks are creating their own rules, basically, and playing by them, even though the system has not set a group of rules in play yet. It sounds a bit like a scam. What apparently happened is they processed his IRS return, and now what's happening is the IRS is sending the checks back to where the last return went to, and that went to Gateway, so they're picking up that check. He's going to need to go back to Gateway and try to get Gateway to write him a check back.
Well, he says that Gateway is saying the bank has the money, right, and the bank won't write the checks. To me, that sounds, yeah. So you're saying go back to Gateway, but they're saying the Gateway is telling them it's the bank. This is one of the reasons why we need to use, tax preparers that we know, or that we know where they live, where their offices are. Not that helps you now, but is there a regulator or somebody that he could, that he can go to? Consumer protection, something?
He could go back to the IRS and start from there, because he's going to need some record to show that he actually had gotten paid and that there is a payment somewhere. And where is that money sitting? He's got to find that spot first. And unfortunately, you're going to have some, I suspect, fairly unscrupulous people dealing with this, because it just sounds like a scam. Your first feelings were correct. It's not their money. They shouldn't be holding on to it. The fact that they are, or trends that it's going to be a problem later on trying to get it away from them.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that's happening to folks. I would like to at least have Gateway reported to the Better Business Bureau or somebody, because if they're, he says they're doing that to a lot of people.
He can do that. They can do that, and it's not a problem. He can file a complaint. The problem is it could be 6 or 8 months before any real action takes place, given the scenario we're in right now. What he's looking for is a quick remedy, and he'd like to get his money because he needs it. And I understand that. So whatever pressure he can put on them, and probably a city attorney's office might be a good place to start.
Okay, we're talking with Attorney Zoran Basich. He deals a lot with wills, with trusts, with nursing home solutions is the name of his company. I want to talk about what to do and what's going on with folks in nursing homes, like my own mother, wanted to during this COVID crisis. Also, I want to look at money. Where can we find money? Sometimes in crisis, there are some opportunities, and I feel like many times our community misses those. Zoran, you've been great over the years about helping us to find out what they are. So we'll cover all of that, plus your own questions. If you have a question about your will, your trust, your personal finance, your own situation in COVID-19 and this crisis and how to best survive it, the attorney is here. 520-KJLH, 520-5554, add an area code, and you are in. We are live from the 1-800-THE-LAW 2 studio, Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.